How progressive are these developments, and does China have a chance of winning in this aspect of the arms race? Let's get a look. The key figure in China's military aviation is the People's Liberation Army Air Force, or the abbreviated PLAAF. It's the PLAAF that are responsible for updating military aviation and developing new types of fighters. Unfortunately, most of the information about new developments is highly classified, but some facts can be learned from the Pentagon reports on some of its most serious rivals. So, the main goal of the PLAAF at the moment is to become more effective and capable forces that are able to conduct joint operations. For this, the Chinese Air Force reorganized into multi-purpose units and disbanded fighter and fighter-bomber units. A full-scale renewal of military equipment has also begun, and in a few years, according to the forecast, the PLAAF should move to fourth-generation power standards. PLAAF's main aircraft at the moment is the J-20, which the Pentagon says is limited to about 150 aircraft. It is currently at the stage of modernization, so they increase the number of air-to-air missiles that this type of fighter can carry, while observing the so-called low-visibility regime. Also, the J-20 is undergoing a certain upgrade of its engines. Now this fighter is switching from Russian engines to domestic-made WS-15 engines with a fixed thrust vector, as well as the possibility of performing the so-called super cruise. In addition, if the images of the upcoming J-20 update, which China allowed distribution just a few months ago, are to be believed, the fighter will now have two-seat control. The possibility of an unmanned version of this fighter model is also allowed. In addition to the J-20 Mighty Dragon and the FC-31 stealth fighters and the strategic stealth bomber, China is actively working to develop a new generation of medium and long-range stealth bombers to engage regional and global targets. The strategic bomber will probably be called the H-20 or stealth fighter. It will have more advanced capabilities compared to the Chinese J-20 and J-31 fighters. It is planned that it will use most of the 5th generation technologies, as well as certain technologies inherent to the 6th generation fighters. So, the N-20 model will be equipped with the latest developments in the field of stealth technology, hypersonic weapons, and a laser. In addition, the fighter will have artificial intelligence algorithms, be able to control drones, and wage a so-called swarm with drones, using the natural technologies of bees swarming. The 6th generation fighter, N-20, is predicted to have a range of about 8,500 kilometers and a payload of at least 10 metric tons. It will also be armed with nuclear missiles. This advanced type of bomber is projected to take about 2 decades to develop, but China hopes to enter service as early as 2035. In addition to the new generation fighter model, China continues to actively develop the FC-31 Gurfalcon twin-engine twin, similar to the American F-35, either for export or as a future naval fighter for the next class of aircraft carriers. The updated FC-31 assumes the presence of a catapult launch mechanism on the front landing gear, as well as a wing folding mechanism. Also, China plans to implement some of the features of the 6th generation fighters in the modernized H-6N, a derivative of the Russian Tu-16 Badger. So this fighter will have the ability to refuel in the air for a longer flight range, as well as the so-called built-in transport space on the fuselage for an air-launched ballistic missile. This option is not the only option for modernizing the H-6. Other variants of the updated H-6 are planned for long-range attacks against targets in the perimeter of China's second island chain on the Pacific Ocean. In addition, China is converting some H-6U bombers into a working tanker. A tanker version of the Chinese Y-20 fighter, reminiscent of the American C-17, is also being developed. In addition, China has acquired all 24 of the latest Su-35 flankers from Russia and continues to develop its own version of the J-15. New developments in China's military aviation include the GX-11 fighter, a variant of the Y-9 used for jamming and electronic countermeasures. Its task is to disrupt the enemy's awareness of the combat space at large distances. Another new aircraft is the KJ-500 early warning and control airplane, which has certain advantages over the KJ-2000 and the KJ-200 variants. It has a round fairing and is equipped with active electronic scanning. Chinese military drones, including the Gangji-11, cannot be ignored. According to Pentagon, it has invisible wings thanks to stealth technology, and is also capable of carrying weapons. In addition, Gangji 11 is equipped with a number of systems for conducting surveillance and reconnaissance operations in different conditions. Also, drones with great military potential are the TW-356 twin-engine transport UAV and the Jianglong unmanned aircraft, which is a crude analog of the Global Hawk. In addition, China is working on a high-speed rocket-powered drone, the Wuzhen 8. As you can see, China is actively developing its military aviation in its own way. China is trying to modernize the fighters in its arsenal as much as possible, purchase the latest models of bombers from other countries, in particular Russia if possible, and also create a 6th-generation fighter based on existing fighter models on its own. How realistic is this? We'll see. In today's high-tech world, power takes several forms. The first form is political, the oldest and most legally formalized. It determines how important the policy and influence of a particular country on the overall picture in the world. The next form, rather closely related to the previous one, is economic. What impact does a particular country have on the global economy? Key roles in this context on the international stage are played by the United States and China, desperately trying to push the United States into second place. And the third form of power in the modern world is technological, especially military technology. The arms race has not disappeared, it has simply changed its appearance. The situation with the leaders in this area is similar. The United States and China, which at any cost is trying to come out on top, surpassing the United States with its achievements in the field of technology, in particular, the field of military aviation. Like most of the leading countries in the world, China is actively working on the development of the so-called 6th-generation fighter, which is radically different from modern models of military aviation. As of today, China does not have a ready-made prototype, or at least an effective working 3D model of a new 6th-generation fighter. Perhaps this information is too secret to be leaked to open sources, or China wants to keep it secret till the end. Be that as it may, we see that China is seriously engaged in the development of its military aviation. But will this be enough to surpass the United States in this area? We will closely follow developments in the race for military aviation upgrades. Subscribe to our channel, and you'll be one of the first to know who won this ultra marathon.